But the thing we have to start off with is the personalised abuse that we're seeing in the GA. And I think the big one has to be Aidan O'Shea. And, like, fine, he hasn't scored in the All-Ireland finals he's played. He didn't have a blockbuster performance. But I thought he had a good first half. And you know what? There was a couple of times, talking to different people and their views on the match, there was a couple of times in the second half, most notably when Tommy Conroy burst through and dragged the shot wide on the left-hand side. And O'Shea was standing there at the edge of the square, just waiting for Conroy to draw the man and give a hand pass across, palm it into the net. You look at Tyrone. They didn't score with their feet in the second half from play. It was 2 goals where it was like a punch in from McShane, a palm to the net from McCurry. And Mayo just absolutely refused to do it. They've lost 2 All-Ireland finals in a row where all 4 goals scored, losing both games 2-14-15. All 4 goals are palmed to the net. This is the first time ever. I wanted them to win. I was sickened after the game. But for once, this is the one time I was actually angry with Mayo. You had so many goal chances. Score even one of them and you would have won it. But and we'll talk about that later on. But the abuse that Aidan O'Shea is getting, like Limerick Drive for 5 here says, as far as personalised abuse goes, there's little room for it and none at all for folks who don't court the airwaves. McStay, Hoare and Keegan O'Shea have a lot to learn from Kieran MacDonald. Adrian McGrath says the abuse of Aidan O'Shea is disgusting. He made a far bigger contribution than half of the rest of them. Lads like Durcan O'Connor and McLaughlin were really poor, but not a word about it. Given his performance, Limerick Drive for 5 says, criticism is warranted. What is not is unabated vitriolic abuse from one paid analyst towards a player, albeit that player might have made better decisions. And obviously that's referring to Joe Brolly and the article he did about Mayo. But when it comes to the amount of abuse and focus on players, some people will say Aidan O'Shea puts in for it. Some people saw the video with Pear Mobile, where he's, being filmed on the beach and all that kind of promo work that he did. And that's fine, but that doesn't mean he deserves to get absolutely slated in the personal abuse going on here.
No, I don't know how you put yourself up for it. Like, he's getting paid to do a job with whatever sponsorship he's doing. I don't think that should play into it. I think a lot of it is to do with the small-minded nature of a lot of Irish people, to be honest with you, and a lot of people do not like to see people putting themselves out there and do not like to see people courting the spotlight at all. Like, he does have a massive profile within the GA. Should he use that to exploit for his own personal gain at times? Yeah, I think that it's fair game. There's a lot of more high-profile GA people are getting, making money and making financial gain by going charging, crazy amounts of money to deliver, to present medals and things like that. Fair enough, it's not in front of the public, but there's still, that's, to me, that's an awful lot worse than what Aidan O'Shea is doing. He just seems to be I don't know if I was trying to think of it. Has anybody ever got more targeted abuse than him in the GA? It just seems to be a lightning rod forward. He just attracts it. I don't know, is it because maybe it's because it just the size of him on the pitch as well, and that people think he should be doing more or whatever, but it's totally unwarranted. Has he played in 7 All-Ireland finals all told? Fair enough, he hasn't scored in an All-Ireland final. There's an awful lot of people haven't scored in an All-Ireland final. There's an awful lot of people haven't played in 1 All-Ireland final, let no one even got close to that. So I often refer back to that quote about that you'll take criticism, or you'll take feedback from someone who's gone inside the white lines or put themselves out there. They've left themselves open for criticism. I tend to disregard a lot of people's opinions when they've never put themselves out there. They've never put themselves on the line. The easiest thing to do is, I've often got abuse from different people about, oh, you played brutal in this match. And then it's like, yeah, how did you play? Sitting up in the stand there, going for 10 points after the match. That's generally what I would say, because and boys would say, oh, you're fair sour or something like that. I don't, if you want to give abuse, you're going to have to be able to take it as well. But I admire anybody that puts the effort in that's needed to get out on the pitch. Did Aidan O'Shea go out on Saturday evening to play a bad game? By Jays, he definitely didn't. I'd say no.
I don't even think he was that bad. Like,
he wasn't that bad
in the second half, but he set up 3 or 4 scoring chances, 1 freeze in the first half. I don't necessarily know if I'd want him closest to goal, because he doesn't really score quite often enough to do it. But he still got on ball, and did what Aidan O'Shea does. He gets it, moves it on.
Yeah, no, it made it probably a bad decision for that Ronan McNamee block. He probably should have checked back. I think Conor Loftus was actually making a run to the right, and if he checked back, he might have been able to deliver on the ball. But there was a lot of bad decisions made the other day. It's not as if he was awful. He's probably a 6 out of 10, I'd say. He wasn't anything less than that for me anyway. I thought he was influential at times in the first half. Drew a few frees, but like it was more a systematic thing with Mayo. There was a general panic kind of set in the second half. They were all making the wrong decisions. It wasn't him making the wrong decision. Like Tommy Conroy, as you said there, Tommy Conroy probably should have taken the ball further to take the shot, or he should have given the hand pass. But there was a lot of things like that happened. The wrong options were been taken all over the pitch, and for it to be focused on one player is just, it's totally uncalled for, and it's completely unwarranted, to be honest with you.
Yeah, who else are the players that get the abuse? We have a comment here saying that he's probably the most abused player in the last decade, says Flash. I'd say the likes of Austin Gleeson gets a fair bit of it. Look, we've definitely seen it in Tipperary over the years. Plenty of players have gotten absolutely slated and been put under the microscope. I'd love to hear who else people think gets that sort of abuse. And do you know what I think of the Theodore Roosevelt speech about the man in the arena? I might even just read a couple of lines of it, just because it's so true. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcomings. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end of the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So that place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And it's so true. It is absolutely true. And you know what? I haven't interviewed Aidan O'Shea for a couple of years now, but as I've said before, anytime I've interviewed him, he is not one of these lads who's trying to shut down every question with, we're just looking to get the victory in one game. He'll give you something. I mean, he'll talk a little bit more openly. He's a personable fella. So because of that, I like to see him do well. And you know what? I'm glad that he does talk to the media and does avail of the opportunities that are there. Sure, Joe Canning avails of opportunities too. Remember the Red Bull stuff straight after the Clare game in 2018. And more power to him doing it. Because I see so many players that they're not allowed to talk to the media, which costs them commercial opportunities. A lot of times they're like, well, what does a GA player get? Well, maybe the commercial opportunity shouldn't be shut down by managers, or like if a player is interviewed 5 or 10 times over the space of a year or two, then all of a sudden you might have promotional work coming on board for him. And these managers are shutting them down, yet the manager is showing up to interviews all the time and building up their rep. They're not all managers, but I just think some of them, and it's unfair. Very, very, very unfair.
Can I just say that on that as well? Like, do you see like Aidan O'Shea in the media the whole time? Like, I don't. I know he did that stuff for Pair Mobile. In fairness, they're getting their mileage. They're definitely getting their mileage out because it's definitely been talked about. But outside of that, I'd say any other stuff he's done are probably duties as Mayo captain. I can't think of anything else this year, to be honest with you. You're
not an Instagram man, though, are you?
I'm not an Instagram man, to be fair. But that's the modern way that, like it's probably not people my age or maybe a bit younger, but that's the way people communicate now. Like, Mark Moran, who's on the Mayo panel, is putting out videos on TikTok and stuff. Like, that's what people do now. Is he supposed to not do that because he's playing for Mayo? Is it affecting him playing with Mayo? I don't think it's affecting him one iota.
No, and even James Moore name-checked him as someone who I think has had injuries and could be back next year. I think he has tens of thousands of followers on TikTok. And then like some of the Instagram lads, like Aidan O'Shea would have promotional work all the time on Instagram, but it's putting out stuff that it doesn't make a difference really. It's just like, here's my car promotion, here's some like clothing thing here, and like the likes of Lee Chin is doing it, Keane Lynch, I believe he's had some stuff, Austin Gleeson, whether it's like a link up with a protein company or whatever, they're all at it. But whatever it seems, and more power to them, by the way. And like even I've seen videos where David Clifford is featured in a video for something or other. He's not necessarily talking it or doing any interview, but like, players have to be allowed to exploit those opportunities. And they can't just all be opening coffee shops, really, or bars like it used to be back in the day. I mean, and it's easy money. It's handy money for them, and they should be allowed to do it.
But just on what one of your viewers said, like, and something that I kind of half mentioned myself, I don't know if anybody has ever attracted more criticism. The only people I would say that have attracted more criticism would be within the GA is on the back of something that they've done, be it like a high profile incident or a punch up or something like that. But for
Jim
somebody,
McConnelly, maybe, I mean, he's had lots of incidents on the field, and Patrick Hickey kind of mentioned him out here. Red Lad T says Canning would have got a lot of abuse before he won the All-Ireland. Ozzie Gleeson seems to be another who gets stick thrown. It's easy to rest on another man's wounds. Yeah, I mean, Lar Corbett, he used to get some abuse. Declan Hannon from Limerick got torrents of abuse in the past decade, but came through to it for the better.
Yeah, that Declan Hannon would be good. That would have been based on that one game he spoke about in the 2013 All-Ireland semi-final against Clare. Connolly would probably be the only one, I'd say, who would nearly be comparable. And that's obviously with some off-field kind of things kind of dragged into the equation there as well. But
Paul
Galvin, yeah, but that would have been more around the incident with the referee knocking the notebook out of his hand and getting the 6-month suspension brought down to 3, and even his altercations with Noel O'Leary down through the years as well. Like what has Aidan O'Shea done on the pitch to warrant this? Like, do you know what I mean? Like I can't think of anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Another comment in here. Sean O'Sullivan says there was a video of Aidan O'Shea going around where a girl in an office who fancied him was gifted a life-size cutout. Then he appeared from behind a door for the girl's birthday. Very nice gesture. So, I mean, I haven't seen that, but that sounds pretty sound if you did that. Davy Fitz is another one.
Yeah. You'd have to say Davy courts it to a certain extent, though.
Go on. Tell me more.
No, well, he does. Like, I think he loves a bit of controversy too, like, to be honest with you.
Yeah. There's a comment in here. Ask Verney, what was the crack with the Bird Junior B sending off on TikTok? 14,000 likes on the video. Any background to it?
To be honest with you, I only saw this second hand, and it was about 2 days after the match. One of the fellas, I think he threw his helmet off or up in the air when he was after getting sent off the other night. But I don't think there was much to it. It was more the character that was involved. I'd say is a bit of a character.
Yeah, there's nothing really to be said in terms of like what do you do about this abuse. It's just it is going to continue. People are going to be who they want to be, and it's probably more a case if the likes of Twitter forces you to sort of prove who you are when you're setting up an account.
Can I ask you something, because I don't know much about Instagram? Is the abuse a lot less on Instagram? Like, if you put up a post, are you going to get abused on Instagram as much as you are on Twitter? If you know, like, you can't directly abuse someone on Instagram unless you put up a picture of slating them or something. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Twitter, you can just put up a post and say Shane Stapleton is the worst hurler that ever played the game, or whatever.
Well, you can do that. You can tag someone in that you can tag in other accounts. I wouldn't say I notice it just as much because I spend far more time on Twitter than I do on Instagram. But maybe other people on here have comments on that, because some GA players would have 50,000 followers, and maybe there's plenty of anonymous accounts on there tuld. It can be done. So there's probably loads of abuse going in on every single platform.
Can I just ask you, who in their right mind would tag Shane Stapleton or Michael Verney or Aidan O'Shea and to give them abuse about a bad performance or or what they perceived as a bad performance? It's one thing to say it, then to tag the person, I just think it's madness, to be honest with you. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. If you enjoyed this piece of content, please follow us on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the page, which helps the channel grow. And if you want audio podcasts, go to patreon.com/OurGame.